part of the magic of our long-term goal, our 10-year goal, is that it helps us balance all of the stuff we're doing in the moment and keep our eye on where we are headed. Another way to look at this is that when we keep in mind where we want to be 10 years from now, then we allow the future to influence today. So based on where I want to be in 10 years, how does that impact what I'm doing and how I'm spending my time today? That is part of the magic of the 10-year goal. And there's a quote. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes from Winston Churchill, and it directly relates to our 10-year goal, and it's something that it has been very relevant to me in the last few weeks. So his quote is, "It is not enough to do our best. Sometimes we must do what is required." Now, in this case, this is how I connect Winston Churchill's quote to a 10-year goal. It is effort and results. So doing my best, I see as my effort. I do my best at the things I do every day. That is my effort. And yet we all know that sometimes our effort or our best doesn't get the job done, whatever it is. That's the results. So doing my best is my effort, and doing what is required is the result. If I really want the result of something, I must be willing to do the work that is required, not always just what I've been doing. This is particularly important when we're talking about a long-term goal. It's easy to lose sight of our progress and to have a sense of how far along we should be when we're working on a timeline from 3 to 10 years into the future. So what do we do in that circumstance? We know we're doing things to move towards our 10-year goal, and yet are we measuring it? Or how do we measure it, and how do we keep track of it? The simple way to do it is to have milestones. At the end of every year, I have a milestone of what I have expected my results to be in moving towards my 10-year goal. This then keeps it on my mind. Since it's part of my annual goals, it pops up every quarter when I'm planning what my focus is for the quarter. Since it's then represented in the quarter, then it comes down to the month level and so on. So that is one way that we help balance and that we use the power of our 10-year goal, is that keeps us from being too much in the short term, just get through today, get through this week, get through this year. It balances that immediacy and urgency of the present moment, which is real, and there are times that is just the best reaction, is to be in that moment, moving forward one item at a time. The challenge becomes if we stay there too long. We need to balance the immediate with where we're going long term. So back to effort and results, Winston Churchill's quote. I recently, in reviewing my progress, so this is my progress towards my 10-year goal. When I looked at results, there was a huge section of results that were just missing. Quite honestly, I had been busy doing the things, putting in the effort, and yet when I really looked and I was looking for results, I realized the effort is there and there's nothing wrong with the effort. There are some good things to the effort, and yet the results weren't there. Okay, now that's a challenge. So now we're back to what Winston Churchill says about we must do what is required. So the requirement part is to look honestly at our results, and are they where we feel they should be? Are we moving towards results? And if not, we must be willing to do what is required. Now, in this case for me, what was required is learning a new skill. I have many skills, and the skill of creating webinars and offers and writing emails is not a skill that I've had. I've been avoiding it, to be perfectly honest. I've been putting in effort towards my 10-year goal, but this area I was just kind of like, honestly, pretending it wasn't there. And then I had the realization, without this skill, I won't get to where I want to be. And I'm talking skill as in beginner. I am back in beginner. When we're experiencing that implementation dip, everything becomes slower because I'm learning new information and then I'm applying it. So I'm learning and applying. This is what's required of me to accomplish my 10-year goal. It's required. So my effort counts, our effort counts, and yet part of really the long-term goal and the power of the long-term goal is really being results oriented. We want to accomplish this. Now, this is true of any goal. That is true. Particularly though, when we're in the long-term goals, it can be easy to confuse our effort with results, and they are two very different things. So you may be wondering, so what did I do when I realized what was required? Well, I took a challenge from my mentor and coach, Mike Kim, and agreed to do 3 webinars before the end of the year. This is pushing me seriously, pushing my skill set to learn. I'm determined. I want the result, and I am willing to do what is required to get there. So in this case, it's learning and then application. And it's learning and application at a faster pace than what I would say generally I'm comfortable. It is not enough that we do our best. Sometimes we must do what is required. And this comes down to looking at our efforts versus our results and be willing to make the hard decisions to ensure that those efforts are actually having results that are moving us in the direction of our long-term goal.